Oh man, codependency fucking sucks. Yeah, I'm gonna take that approach to start this video. I know multiple times that I've said like, fuck enmeshment. Codependency is basically enmeshment. You are enmeshed with another individual to gain self, right? How you see me is how I see me. How you feel about me is how I feel about me, right? Um, and I'm not going to say that everybody's experiences of codependency are the same, but it's wild. Excuse me. It's wild when you feel like a part of you, or even the entirety of you, the entirety that is you, is somewhere out there, Healing from codependency is a very wild experience. It really is, because like you might realize that throughout your entire life you've done things to get things rather than done things for the enjoyment of it, right? Like in my experiences of codependency, I have done a lot of things to get approval, to get validation, to get love. And these have been things that I didn't even want to do. And I'll make it very clear right now that I'm not pointing the finger at anybody else and being like, oh, they made me do it. No, 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 no. Everything that I've done throughout my life, even though at earlier points in my life there was lesser of an element of conscious awareness, it has always been me choosing my actions. And I feel like that in and of itself is one of the most important aspects of healing, is accountability and responsibility, right? Um, but of course, that comes with conscious self awareness, right? Um, I feel like it can be easy to feel lost when you are healing from codependency because, again, in my experiences, the amount of things that I've done throughout my entire life to get something rather than for the enjoyment of it. But the reason why that has been the case, and I'll get into that, there's some magical light beaming from the sun that's playing with my face. Um, Doing things to get things rather than doing things as enjoyment. Like actually, like last night, not going to name any, not going to drop any names or, say what it is that happened or anything. Um, but last night, I realized that I, in part, was doing something to get something rather than just doing something for the enjoyment of it. And it really is an entirely different energy dynamic. When I say that energy is felt, I mean that energy is felt. The intention as to why a person is doing things can be felt, right? Like for instance, if you go on a date with somebody, there might be two possible approaches, two possible intentions, right? One, you're doing the date to get something, which might be, a girlfriend, boyfriend relationship, right? You might be attached to that outcome, and therefore your energy dynamic might be very specific, right? It will be felt if that's what your intention is. If instead, however, your intention is just to have a good time and to enjoy yourself, one is doing things to get things. The other is doing things as a means in an no, sorry. Yeah, doing things to get things, right? A means to an end, and then the other one is an end in itself. So you do things to get things, or you do things because you enjoy them, right? The cool thing about doing something because you enjoy it, the energy dynamic is going to be different, right? Your enjoyment of it is going to shine through, and that's going to transform the entire experience for you and the other person, right? Um, what codependence and healing codependence I personally believe, I'm not here to fucking give unsolicited advice. It's just in my own experiences and what I've learned about codependency and about all that stuff. It's a game of misplaced worth, right? Codependence, well, I'll say it in my own experience. I believe that this is to a large degree somewhat of a cookie cutter one size fits all thing. There's a reason that codependents do things that they don't want to do. It's for the validation, it's for the approval, right? um Other has something that self needs, apparently. That is, of course, a belief that the codependent was taught, right? So let's talk about worth, because codependents, from what I've experienced and what I've learned, struggle with self worth. They also struggle to understand that it's in their fucking back pocket rather than somewhere out there in a person, a thing, a job, whatever the fuck it is, right? And this is actually what changed everything for me. And I've noticed that my energy has also changed and shifted and transformed, and I'm just vibrating differently now, right? Um, Whatever it is that codependents are looking for out there is already inside of them. And that might piss some people off because it's like hardwired in their fucking psyche that, you know, no, it's out there, it's somewhere, it's in that person. I will only be worthy if I'm with that person, or if I'm friends with that person, if I date that person, if I marry that person. I'll only be worthy if I get into that Ivy League school. I'll only be worthy if I get straight A's. I'll only be worthy if this, that, and the other. And so the fascinating dynamic, or the fascinating thing about that, I'll call it energetic dynamic, is that, well, if you're only worthy based on what it is that you have, right? And say, for instance, the relationship, the thing, whatever it is, right? Then if you lose that thing, then you're all of a sudden not worthy anymore. And then you're scrambling to either try to get it back or to try to find the next thing that can fill your void of fucking worth, right? Um, from what I understand, what I've learned, codependents are hardwired to believe that their worth is extrinsic, right? And so with that, they've usually likely got to do a bunch of things that they don't want to do to get worth. It's a game of worth, right? Codependency. How you see me is how I see me. I need to be a certain way so that you like me, because then I'm finally worthy. And then I've also got to scramble to not lose it. Because if I do, I don't know why I'm doing that. Because I don't care. I'm not attached. I'm just having fun. That's the difference in terms of energy dynamic. It transforms everything. When you place you when you've learned that your worth is out there, and you need to do things that you don't want to do to get things that you might not even realize you don't even want. Right? Like, it's funny because I used to be far more, it's kind of strange to say it that way. I'll just say, in my more emphasized and prominent codependent days, I used to think that I needed things and people, and therefore did things to get people that, like, I now realize were some of the most toxic, no names, of course, but were some of the most toxic and unhealthy individuals I've ever met in my life, all because I thought that I needed something that I thought that they had that would fulfill me. And it's not the case. It's not the case. Worth, sorry, my eye is like fucking up right now. My worth is intrinsic. Well, I mean, I fucking everyone's worth is, right? It's not so easy for some people to see that because they've been hardwired to believe that it's out there. Now, the cool thing about recognizing that your worth is intrinsic, and this could very well fucking dissolve codependency for any given individual. If you realize that your worth is intrinsic, which it is, it might be hard for you to actually see that because you've been so fucking hardwired into all these, codependent beliefs that it's actually out there somewhere and you need to do a bunch of things to get it, right? And you need to also be anxious as fuck when you finally do get it, because if you lose it, then you're no longer worthy, right? Um, but no, worth is an intrinsic game. Happiness is a fucking inside job, right? And that's just the reality of it. So, when you see it that way and understand that you don't have to do things to get things, especially do things that you don't want to do. Shit, I've spent so many years of my life doing things that I didn't want to do because I believed that my worth was out there. I believed that my worth was in that person, that thing, that job. Maybe, I believed that I had to get into an Ivy League school to be worthy, right? The entire energy dynamic and experience in and of itself transforms when you realize that you don't have to do things you don't want to do to get worth, right? To source worth from the external. The energy dynamic shifts because you're going from doing things that you don't even want to do. When you do things you don't even want to do, your energy is, it's not good or bad or right or wrong, but it's so fucked up because like it's just not it's like a magnet. It's like a magnet that loses its charge, right? You're fucking not there. You're you know and then when you recognize your worth for what it is, which is intrinsic, it's an inside game, it's an inside job, right? And you don't have to do anything to be worthy, you're already worthy. Then you can actually do what you enjoy, and you'll enjoy doing it, obviously, because you enjoy. Anyway, that explains itself. Everything that you do ends up being an end in itself because you're doing it for the enjoyment, not to get worth from the external world, right? It's important for codependents to understand this because shit, your energy. I mean, I can't, I've just, I can only talk for myself and for my own experiences. My energy has fucking shifted so much. Don't get me wrong, there are some times that kind of like, I forget that I don't have to source externally, right? And I get sucked into dynamics and I get attached and I get, like somewhat like, oh well, if it could just this, that, and the other, that person goes, this person does this, says that, and then I'm kind of just like, oh wait a second, defaulting, right? And again, like it's all a learning experience. Just remembering that your worth is intrinsic, and you don't have to do things you don't want to do to get things that you might not even realize right now you don't actually want. You just learned to believe that that's what you need. Other people don't have what you think they do. That I'm saying this like another YouTuber that I follow, Aaron Dowdy, love his channel. Um, Other people, I'm gonna say what I've heard him say. I might not be able to say it word for word. I'll try. Other people don't have what you think they do that you need. They don't, right? But a lot of us were hardwired to believe that our worth is out there, right? And we need to fucking exhaust the fucking living hell out of ourselves, or I should say the living fucking joy out of ourselves in doing things to get the worth, get the approval, get the validation, get the, all of that bullshit. No. You don't need to. Let go, enjoy life, stop trying to control things. Stop fucking trying, right? Just have fun. Stop looking. You know, it's already inside of you. Just recognizing that for what it is will transform everything.